everybody, hope you are all well. Hello Gemma, she's first in the house today. Hello Emma, hello Trisha, hope you're all good. Very sunny it's been today, but it's looking a little bit black actually, black clouds. So we're not going to waste too much time today because I've got so much to cover with you. So it might go over a little bit in time, but obviously, you know, if you don't have time to watch the full thing, you can come back to it at your leisure. Last week's tutorial is now on YouTube. So that was part one. Part two is doing the necklace part and embellishing the bead embroidery. Hello Francis. Emma has rain and thunder. Oh, we had thunder and lightning the other day. I'm one of the few people that likes it, I think, providing you don't get caught in it. So let's go and have a look on the overhead, shall we? Right, so what we did last week is, where are you? Oh, bear with, where have you gone? Right, that's better. Sorry about that. So I've done a tutorial on making the watercolour rose, but you can use any cabochon you wish. Last week this is what we did, or more or less I did finish it off. I haven't backed it yet because I want to sew the necklace part on. Now what we're going to do today, or little sections of it, is we're going to actually look at making the necklace, how we do embellishing on the necklace, on the cabochon, and all being well, how to do a button fastening as well. I just wanted to show you the fact that this is one of my favourite necklaces, and it's exactly the same theme, exactly the same stitch that I've used. The only difference is I've used freshwater pearls, bigger pearls, a bit more random, and it's gone a little bit more busy so that it looks like it's a continuous flow. But I've used exactly the same stitch, and I've done a picot edge on it as well. I just wanted you to really see the other options, even if you're not really liking the colour combo that I'm doing today. Now, what we'll do first of all is we're going to make this necklace section. So here's one I prepared earlier. You will need your size 10 beading needle, and you will need some thread. I'm using Nymo beading thread here. I'm only using a little bit because I'm not going to do a huge part of it. However, work with as long as you can, maybe 1.5 meters, 2 meters, but bearing in mind that you will have to add in. Now I have waxed it as well. I've got some of the wax available if anybody wants it, and we are going to thread our size 10 beading needle. I am going to be using check size 10 seed beads, but you can use pretty much any size you like. Now if I leave that at the side there, if anybody joins in late, they can see what we're actually making. Now I don't actually need that at the moment, but we will need to get in really close. The only thing I don't like about getting in really close is the fact that unless I'm watching it completely all the time, sometimes I go off piste a little bit. So do bear with me if that is the case. We will start with 4 seed beads. If you've never used needle and thread before, use the tip of your needle. If you can, use daylight or use one of the day glow lamps as well. I've got 4 to begin with. Our first row is stitched differently. We stitch something called ladder stitch to begin with, but don't get too hung up on all the different names. As long as you can do it, that's all that matters. I would leave about a hand, just over a hand's width of tail, so that you can attach that to your necklace afterwards. Bring your needle and go back up the first 2. What that does is it creates 2 by 2 to one side to the other, go down the next one, and then we will add another 2 seed beads. Go, your needle's coming out, your thread's coming out the bottom, go down the top and anchor that, and as you can see you've now got 6 in a row. Bring your needle through to the next one. You might want to come back and watch this when you're ready. I like to just wrap the tail around my little finger just so that I've actually got good tension on it. Add another 2 beads, thread coming out of the bottom, needle goes down the top. That's what we call ladder stitch, but ladder stitch does again come in lots of different ways. Because it's a bit straggly, I'm going to tighten that up by going back through all those beads, going up and down, down the ladder, up the ladder, and down the ladder. And that brings it together really nicely. That is what you need to start. Just a few more hellos. Hello Christine, hello Carol, hello another Carol, hello Nora, hello Francis. I'm glad you like the needle case. Don't forget the needle case is all out. It's been launched. It's all new kit. Next bit. If we can get in any closer, we will, because I want to show you what these thread bars look like. Now, when I say thread bars, let's turn it on its side. Can you see the fact that you've got a stitch from that bead to that bead, one there and one there? If I pull this down a wee bit, we can bear with while I just readjust. I really need you to see as close as possible and understand what I'm on about. If anybody has missed the start, when you come to do yours, do make sure you watch it. Can you see that we've got a bar going across there, one across there and one across there in thread? This is how we're going to do it. Pick up 4 at the start of every row. Make your thread nice and tight. Tuck it over your finger if you can. Go underneath that thread and push. I'm pushing that towards me, and that goes in half. Thread is coming out from under there, but we want to go under those 2 and push up. The next one will be 2 beads, and we go through the next thread bar in the row, and I'm bringing it towards me. I don't suppose it really matters. Thread here, needle underneath and up through those 2 beads you have just added. Pull it nice and tight and add 2, and yeah, you probably guessed it, we're going to work in the last thread bar there, and under and up through those 2 beads. Pull nice and tight. So that is your 4 rows. We're going to start the next row exactly the same. Add 4 beads, 4 beads on your needle, pop that underneath your finger. You will find a comfortable way of doing this. I can only just show you how it works for me, but I'd love to know how many of you have done ladder or brick stitch. Does it frighten you? If it frightens you, what is it that sort of frightens you about it? Always 4 in the first row, go underneath those 2 beads and push your needle up. Next one is 2, go underneath that thread bar, and then thread is here, needle underneath and up through those 2 beads. If you have done ladder stitch or brick stitch, would love to know what you made, how did you find it, and do you have any tips for other people? What you will notice is as we go, you've got a little dip in one side, so every other, if I show you what this one looks like, so the little building blocks hang over each side, but by the time you finish them they even out. I'm going to keep going, but let me know how you're finding it. Add in 4 beads. Do you know, I've been editing a video for the needle case, which has taken me quite a while, and you know what it's really made me conscious of? I'm listening to myself, and there's words that I use constantly and I think, oh, not again. So delete that, and it's really off-putting, and I'm conscious when I'm talking to you all is that I'm using the same words all the time, so I apologise in advance, but I suppose that's just what comes naturally. It's hard. It's really hard when you're editing a video because you have to listen to yourself, and nobody likes listening to themselves. We're our own worst critics, aren't we? So in my mind I'm going, don't say that, use a different word. But the more you think it, the more you're going to say it. I'm adding 4 beads. I'm going through the first thread bar. Did I say 4? I think I did. Make sure it goes in half and under and up. Oh, where have we gone? How are you all finding this? Do I need to carry on for a bit longer with the stitch for you? We've got a few more of you joining, which is lovely. I think it's a lot more straightforward than it looks, especially when you get a rhythm. As long as I'm not making it look complicated. Hopefully not. I just find a lot of the time when you tell people, oh, we're doing this stitch, automatically people are like a rabbit in headlights because they think, oh, I can't do that. Whereas if we don't call it anything during the tutorial, we're just doing a new stitch, then sometimes it just helps to get it out of your brain that you actually can do it. Add 4 beads at the start of every row. Go under that thread, let it actually go in half, get your needle under and up through the last 2 beads, add 2, go through the next thread bar, you see that? Please keep going, will do. Go under and up. Add 2, go through the last bar and under and up. It just amazes me though what you get out of a phone camera for all the different things that you could spend loads on different cameras. It just ceases to amaze me that the overhead is actually my phone, and it zooms in really well. 4 beads on. Obviously you don't have to stick to the same colour combo. You could do totally random colours if you want to. You could alternate the rows. What I love about this stitch is that it's really quick. I mean, obviously it's not gonna get done in a matter of minutes, but it is quicker than some of the other stitches, bearing in mind you're doing 2 beads at a time. Absolutely, Emma, you could make a ring this way. I'm not sure how you could join the two together. I suppose yeah. I like the idea of that, Emma. Maybe I'll look at that for another tutorial. Loving that suggestion. We've not done any rings for a long time. So add in 4 at the start. Get your needle under and up. Just to pre-warn you that sometimes at the start of the row all your beads drop off. It's when I think you've gone back through your thread. It's easier than you thought. Brilliant. And don't forget, this isn't just for a necklace. You can do a bracelet with all the methods that I'm showing you as well. I dare say you could probably even do earrings with it as well. I'm just going to do another couple of rows, and I'll talk you through it again for anybody that's come in a little bit late. Oh, I tell you what I need to show you. I need to show you how you add in thread and tie off thread. Add 4 beads at the start, under there, let it go in half, go under and up. Right, what's gone wrong there? I think what I've done there is I've actually split my thread. Those of you that do bead weaving will know exactly what I mean. I've gone in the middle of the thread somewhere. Right, why has that gone all messy? Sometimes it's just easier to take your needle and thread off and just pull it through. Do you know, I'm not sure if I actually finished off the last 2 beads. I think that's what's happened. How are we doing for time? 20 past. Four beads at the start of the row. What I'd recommend is that you, when you get down to the last sort of 6 inches of your thread, you actually bank your thread to one side. I've added too many beads this time, and add in a new thread, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do as well. Under and up. Probably the best thing to do is grab a practice piece, practice needle, practice thread and seed beads, and just have a bash alongside the tutorial. After the tutorial, please don't go, but after the tutorial, and then you can pause it, can't you? There you go. Now my thread's getting short. Let's show you how you add in a new thread. It's always a good idea to have a selection of seed beads. And I'm going to wax that thread. I don't tie any knots onto this thread. I always like to bring the new thread up to the old thread, because I always used to find I'd tie it off and I think, but where was my needle last? And I just used to get in a bit of a pickle. Bring your new thread a little bit further back and pull through until you've got a little tail. Pop your thumb over the tail so it doesn't come through. This is where we're going to split through the middle of the thread. All the threads that are in between the beads, I'm going to pick one of those up, and before I pull it through, I will tie a knot. I know there's lots of different ways you can do it, but this is the one that works for me. I know some of you do it differently. Push your needle through a few other seed beads, and again go underneath and through the thread before you pull it tight. Go through it so you form a knot. Can you see I am stepping through the blocks of 2? Always a good idea as well to have a pair of pliers as well, just in case it gets difficult. I'd always recommend doing it in 3 places. I'm going to be a bit cheaty and tie these 2 ends together. So you've got your new thread coming up and in the same place, and now we would dive down and tie off the old thread. I'm not going to do the same knots because you've just seen that, but you tie off again in, I would say, 3 different places. Just take it randomly, but make sure you work in groups of 2 so you can't see your thread, and then you just trim off your tail, not this one but the short one, and of course your old thread. Let's bank that for now, and let's look at how we go about attaching it to the bead embroidery piece. I have got this little tail here. I am going to thread that onto a needle. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit because I'm conscious that I'm going to be disappearing off camera very easily. All okay so far? You would obviously carry on until you've got the length of the necklace done in that. If you want to, you can also picot through those edges where you add 3 seed beads in between each block. I would suggest that you perhaps try and work out what angle you want this at. Now, because I know this one works well for me, I'm going to pop that there. Let's turn that round. Where do I want that? There we go. And I am going to use the seed beads to anchor this to. The only problem is, because they're a size 15 at the edge, they're not that easy. I'm going to go through 2 of the seed beads. All good. Right, I'm not sure. That was a very good idea, ending with size 15s. Where are you? Going through 2 seed beads on the bead embroidery and back up through the next 2 seed beads in the row. Like that. I would normally backstitch, however, because they're size 15s, I'm not going to have enough room to go through that. I'm going down the next one. Can you just see where the thread is there? I've left it open so that you can see where I'm working. Let's pull that tight now. Line up with the seed beads down below. You could switch down to size 12 beading needle. Instead, I'm persevering with the size 10. The size 12 beading needle will allow you to get into smaller spaces. And then we are going to go up through there. You can also just use your bead embroidery foundation as well, which I'll show you. So let's pull that. That's all secured, and I'm going to stitch to the back and tie it off that way. That's the little tail. So pop your needle down into the foundation. Pop it at an angle. And I'm going to tie off down here. Go under the thread bars and a little bit underneath the foundation and tie off in a couple of places. And you do that the same the other side. Definitely left that to the last bit of thread. I don't think that's secured, that's that last one. Anybody got any questions before we do the next little bit? It's up to you at what stage you do everything, whether or not you make the two necklaces first, whether or not you do one like I'm doing, stitch that on. It's entirely up to you. You still get the same result. Let's chop that. That's that attached. Let's have a look at the other one. I have actually used my thread at the end to stitch on the button. Let's do that. I've actually just popped the end bit on some thread just to keep it nice and neat. I haven't used this before. I'm hoping this is going to work. These are in the thread. They're the acrylic buttons. I just thought they were really lovely and very cheap. I don't think you can tell the fact that they're not glass. Bear with, I know my mat's rather untidy at the moment. Let's just talk you through quickly what you would do this side. Now, see where my needle's coming out of? You would make sure you do the appropriate number of seed beads to go through or around your button, and you come out of this one, go all the way round, and then you go down this one, and I would just maneuver your needle down, up, around there and reinforce it. For this side, we're going to look at the button. Can't even remember how I did it, to be honest. Oh, I've got thread everywhere. Let's tidy up, shall we? Let's move that one out the way. Don't need that one. to stitch that so that it goes across there. This is a little bit of play it by ear. Does that make sense? According to what button you use. There we go. Pop your needle through there. Yeah, what button you use, how it sits, and then I am going up. Can you see? Going up through those two. So just come out one side, go back through that back again. If I just pull that open so that you can see, then make sure you anchor it the other side. I'm going to anchor it to the next seed bead, and you would do that a number of times until you're happy that it's secure, and then you can tie that off. I think that's a really nice little fastening. I'm going to do that later, because what I want to do now is work on the embellishments. Something we haven't worked with before is Monty's, Rose Monty's. Anybody use Rose Monty's? This is also a really nice thing for people that have got perhaps some allergies to metal as well, to use the button. I'm going to have to add some thread in because I don't have any thread down this end, so you'd use the method that I showed you before, and you can pretty much use anything. I'm going to use the 3mm crystals. They are in the Facebook group. These are what's called Rose Monty's that I know have been really popular in the group today. They are available in either the AB or the coloured ones as well. So we're going to have a little bash at all of those, and I'm going to use some of the alternative colour seed beads as well. I think I'm going to have to move some of this out of the way. What have I done with my needle? Not as if I haven't got plenty of needles, but David, my youngest, is always moaning at me for losing my needles. Right, let's just check your comments, make sure I haven't missed anything. No, I don't think so. Okay. Oh, I know a quicker way of tying in. Let's go in from the Bead Embroidery Foundation. That's much quicker, isn't it? So I'm going to tie a knot and come in from the back. Just going to pop a stitch in there and bring that from the back and up like so. I have to be honest, I've got to remind myself how I did it. Which rows I started on. I think I better zoom in as well so you can see what I'm doing. Where have you gone? It really is up to you where you stitch, but first of all I have done it slightly differently on the other one, but let's start on this one. I'm going to cut up my crystals. So it's up to you how full and whether or not you do every single row. But I'm going to start by putting this crystal in and stitching over to the next group. So take this away, threads coming out of there, going up through there. And again, coming out of here, go through the next group of two. So the embellishing is actually a bit quicker than it looks, and you can use rondelles, you can use bicones, as you saw you can use freshwater pearls, and it's up to you how far up you actually go. You can use the Montes in this as well, but I just used the Montes along the bead embroidery. Why is that not sitting right? There we go. On this one, I've gone up a little bit further because we are just doing a sample piece. I'm not going to go so high up because I just want to give you an idea of what to do. That's one row, and what we're going to do now is turn our needle so it comes back down this way. And I'm going to stitch from there to there. But I'm going to pop in a couple of seed beads over the top as well. Doesn't have to be crystals. I'm going to alternate it between crystals and seed beads. So effectively I'm stitching, if you imagine a ruler going in a straight line, I'm skipping over this group here and going to this one. How are you all finding it so far? Is it okay? Can you see it all right? But there's so many different bead and combinations on this. I am going to actually do the necklace part first before I move on to anything else. And then I am going to move up to the next one. It's up to you how many of the rows you actually do, how many you skip. Wonder what the rose Montes will look like on there. If they look a little bit random. I think I'll save those. I am going to add a seed bead and a crystal now in between the next one. But you've all gone really quiet. I'm hoping that you're all still with me. But just pop me a note in the comments so that I know it's all broadcasting okay still. Let's have a reload. But again, I think it looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. What I needed to do really is to go in between rows to fill them in. So as I said, it's down to you which you actually fill up. All good. You're having trouble seeing, but it could be your eyes. I don't know if you've said it before, but that would make a lovely bracelet. It really would. It doesn't have to be a necklace. You don't even have to incorporate bead embroidery into it either. I like to make the seed beads random as well. No, that's not very tight. Let's pull that down a bit. I think, can I get any closer? Hopefully you can see that okay. Oh dear, I'm getting in a right little fuddle. Everything's getting caught. What I love about this strand of Borealis beads is you get so many on the strand as well. Oh goodness, my thread's getting stuck Make sure that you pull it nice and tight. I'm just double checking that I have actually got you on camera, or got me on camera I should say. But look how that glistens, that's so pretty. And we'll go down this one. And I think I'll just add 2 seed beads in between this one. I'm going to swizzle it round because it's easier for me to work with. But you could totally cover all of those seed beads if you want to. The choice is yours. It's just knowing what the method is, I guess. You still on that? You still see what I'm doing? Need a few more seed beads. Gemstones, you could do gemstones, you could do gemstone chips as well, that would be quite nice. But if anybody's got any ideas that are sparking into your mind while you're doing this, share it, because we always like to bounce ideas, don't we, as to what we can do with this particular method. And then I am going to add some crystals up the side of this one as well. Where have you gone? There you are. But it's pretty straightforward. It really is just, there's a lot of time and effort into the necklace. But you can break it down into stages. And then it's not such a big overwhelm. I am going up the side here. You could even stitch it so that it comes, so say for example if you've got a gemstone chip, you could always stitch it from under, put a seed bead on the bottom and go down. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I think I would probably as well maybe even add some more seed beads down this side, but the choice is actually yours as to how much you do on there. We're going to bank that for now. I'm going to just leave that, and I'm going to have all these different threads coming out, but I'm going to start another thread and show you how we embellish on here as well. And I'm going to have to make sure I finish it, aren't I? Now the only thing I find with doing the Rose Montes is they've got this little claw setting on them, and the claw setting can be a right pain in the whatsits getting stuck round the claws, but if you're aware of it, just try and work around it if you can. Just go gentle. Just threading my needle. What are you all working on at the moment? What projects have you all got on the go at the moment? And don't forget to go and share them in our lovely sister group, Beaders of Beads by Vachil as well. So we always have our little monthly competition in there. I am going to start back down here. There we go. Just need to remind myself, what did I do? Groups of 2. This is a little bit random, depends on what you actually want to do. I am going to work in mainly groups of 2. I'm going to pop a couple of crystals on there. Hopefully you can see it. Like we do with the bead embroidery, I'm going to take a nosedive down. And let's just reinforce that by going back round that again. You can either carry on in a straight line, but what I like to do on this is do it a little bit random and have breaks in between. I'm going to stitch a bit, have a bit of a gap, stitch a bit further on. Let's show you how these Rose Montes come on. I'm not even sure whether or not that colour even matches. No, I don't think it does. We've got this little Rose Monte and it's got a hole in 4 ends, 4 sides. I pop a needle through 2, lay that across like a bead, take a nosedive down at the end of it, stitch it as if it's a bead. Again, watch out because it gets stuck around those claws really easy. And then back stitch just to reinforce and secure that. But you know what, isn't that just gorgeous? I love the Montes. I think they're so beautiful. and then we'll stitch a bit further along and we'll have a couple more crystals. It's also, I think it's quite nice to stitch different size and shaped crystals. I'm just working on the one for today, but you can really vary what you've got, and I'm just varying the distance. I'd say total random is probably the best if you can. And then I am going to stitch on a little Monty right on the end of that. And it's up to you how far round you want all of the embellishment to go. It really is, it's a bit organic, if that makes sense. It's very much, each piece you do is going to be very unique. Take a nosedive down. So can you see that at the moment, whoops, I'm making a nice little mess. At the moment I am working in between this bit here. Let's go stitch a bit further along. Let's just turn that on its side so you can see. Let's try it with 3 crystals this time. Lay it like you would with your beads, your seed beads I should say, and then reinforce. Always make sure you give it a good old pull on there. Sorry to have used such pale beads. Not the best really. How far round have I gone? I've actually, on the other one, I've actually stopped around here. Let's have another rose Monty. But these also come in multicoloured as well. But I think a bracelet or a ring. But let me know if you fancy me doing another tutorial next week, maybe on a ring or a bracelet. Let me know. Not for the, without the bead embroidery element, it's just doing the brick stitch and the embellishing. And it'd be good really if you can get, sorry about that, if you can get to fill in this part here. But it's coming along really nicely. I'm going to step up here and I'm going to pop a rose Monty over the join as well. Let's maybe have it at an angle. Stitch it up there. Make sure it sits the right way. Oops, I think as my thread got stuck. Right, that's a prime example of how your thread gets stuck around those little rose Monties, but that's freed up quite nicely now. Just going to randomly add a few crystals. So I'm going to go along the top one now. just to speed up, I'm not going to reinforce it on this one, but I'd suggest that you probably do as you're going. I'm going to actually pop embellishment in between those bits there. And let's try 3. But if you can try this on your bracelet, if you make a bracelet. I'm going to have to reinforce that. I'm going to go back through the last 2 just to anchor it a little bit. Are you on my camera still? There we go. Not too way off. I'm not going to stick a rose monte right where the other one is, so let's just take a pause. But isn't that so pretty? Let's do another 2. How are we doing? 58. Oh, we're nearly there. Right. So what we've learned in this is we've learned how to make the double brick stitch, which you can use for a necklace or you can use for a bracelet, possibly a ring. We've looked at a button fastening. We've looked at how you tie in thread. We have looked at how to join the necklace to the bead embroidery, and we've looked at embellishing the necklace and embellishing the bead embroidery element as well. So we've covered a huge amount in a short space of time, and I'm not convinced I've actually stuck that on properly at all. It's just stuck around one of the claws. Right, let's see if I can take that off. But what I'd recommend you do is just try a test piece. Tell yourself this is a trial piece. So that takes the pressure off whether it goes perfectly or not. And just stitch till your heart's content. Do it whatever feels right to you. And don't forget that the watercolour and the cabochon element, stitching the peyote, was actually on last week's tutorial. Let's zoom out now and just bring the other pieces in. That's a bit too far away. That's where we're at the moment, but can you see how that glistens? Really, really pretty. And do you know what? I've not even put the button on the right side. It's top tip, everybody. Make sure you've got your button on the right side. Good idea to do that. Don't do as I do, do as I say, so to speak. And if we look at this one, you can see on that one that I've incorporated different size crystals. I've gone from there all the way round to here, but it's entirely up to you how far you go. And this one is the freshwater pearl one, which has got all the elements going round. They're all kind of well linked in together. And just a reminder that if you wish to, you can picot the edges, so you come out of the side, add 3 and go on to the next. But I do hope that you've enjoyed that. My dress is all in a pickle. Would love to see any makes that you do as a result of this. I know there's an awful lot to take in, and I was gonna actually do it in different parts. Oh, I've missed loads of comments. Loads of comments. We're engrossed. You're still there. Brilliant. Just concentrating. Emma's watching and eating jacket potatoes, and she's multitasking all the time. Love the colours. I'm glad you like that, and thank you for sharing our sister group. Can't sit for more than 15 minutes. Oh, is that because it's uncomfortable, or is that from a concentration point of view? I'm absolutely nightmare for sitting still. Flower necklaces, tree of life suncatcher, tree of life pendants, and some different styles of suncatcher. Is that what you're looking for tutorials? Carol is busy with the garden. Also have a stall at Bath Road on 1st of July. Fantastic. Good luck with that, Carol. Oh yes, it's the auction next week. Thank you for the reminder, Linda. So those of you that haven't joined me before, we do an auction every month. Hopefully my mum will be able to come and join as well. We do have a bit of fun as well. Lots of bargains. Can you do patterns in a ring like the pen toppers, or is it a different kind of stitch? It is a different type of stitch. I'm sure there's a way that you can do something, but I'm not sure. Maybe we will do the ring, not next week, but the week after. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. That wasn't too bad for time, and I did think we'd run quite a lot more over than we did. Thank you for joining, and I will see you all. Do you know what? I forgot Monday updates this week as well. I was so engrossed in doing my needle case pattern that I forgot. Anyway, you guys take care, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.